Three, two, one, zero. Launch. What's up, guys? Marcin here. This is not a regular time when I go live. Typically, I do it at 12 p.m. Eastern. Today is 5:30 p.m. I'm actually experimenting with times. Trying to figure out if I need to move it to like later in the day, maybe even change the day. I was at one point thinking about switching to Saturday or Sunday. But for those of you that are watching for the first time, maybe you're hopping on, maybe you're watching the rerun. Comments are very important. We're here to talk about photography and building photography business. And every Thursday, I'm here to share some golden nuggets or golden BBs, call it whatever you want. Basically, I did photography for 17 to 18 years successfully, and right now I'm just sharing everything that I take a piece from the map, from the puzzle, one puzzle piece, and I talk about it here so that you can. It's almost like a shortcut, right? So it took me a very long time to kind of figure out the business because there's a lot that you have to cover. Like people think in terms of like building photography business, they think of camera and editing and maybe some like interaction with a client, obviously, but like the rest of the map is missing. The rest of the blueprint is missing. So I'm here every week to take you through it and just share lessons. What worked for me, what did not work for me. Actually, there's more things that did not work for me that worked for me over time, and then you just kind of cut on the fat, the unnecessary stuff, the busy work, and you just focus on what's working, and this is how you get to profits. So that's what we're doing today. Before I go forward, I always flash some sort of like a QR code, or because this is actually I will show you both. So the QR code, if you're watching on YouTube, you can, if you feel lazy, you can just scan it. It'll take you to like School Community or Facebook. You can actually DM, you can reach out if you have any questions. I'm always there. And then School Community launching, first 100 members, folks are hopping on slowly, and I just say, hey, here's an invite because I'm building the whole platform there. There's like level 1 for like beginner photographers, level 2 for like maybe you have shot some sessions, but like you don't know really how to monetize it or how to get it to a couple thousand a month. And there's, there you can go even with like a fully fledged experience when we hop on like weekly calls and do all the fancy stuff like regular classes, courses, or whatever. So that's something I needed to mention here. Also, I was actually doing an interview with Lucy Dumas. If you haven't seen her podcast, it's Profitable Photographer podcast. Look it up. We were talking about mindset, and this was actually a trigger for this session because I'm like, I definitely have to talk about it. Because a lot of folks are stuck with the mindset and the pricing, and they're not sure. And one of the things I mentioned on Lucy's during the interview, it was the assessment. What is the assessment? When you go to proimageacademy.com//start, I basically put together like an assessment that will help you sort of determine what areas of the photography business you need to focus on first. So like if you score low on one of the categories, you'll get the score in the end. You answer questions. There's just be prepared because there's probably like 20, 25 questions. But it's asking you, sort of kind of everything about like, not everything, but enough to determine if you have a branding issue, automation issue, business problem, pricing, or so it's very important to do that because you don't want to be doing the busy work and not moving the needle, not making the money. You want to be focusing on something, given that you have limited resources. Usually photographers just start on their own and, it's just you doing all the work, switching hats between tasks. So it's important that you can identify the gaps early and just focus on those. So highly recommend. Again, today we are talking about mindset. So just going right in. I have a slide deck for you guys as always. Let me just rearrange myself here. Let's see. I think I'm good here. Let's look at the slides. Is it mess or is it showing or what's going on here? Actually, I need to point to the invisible rulebook. All right, that looks good. So invisible rulebook, and the invisible rulebook is basically This is the best photo I could find. But well, this is kind of how I think about it. So when we talk about pricing, there's something we have to cover before we even talk about like tactics and like the plan and what do you do and the steps. And the invisible rule book is basically your mindset. So it says invisible rule book. Your money mindset was written long before you started your business, and it's quietly running the show. So, what do I mean by the rule book? What do I mean by mindset? It's on Lucy's interview also, I mentioned that like kids. I don't know if you guys know that. Kids until we're 7 years old are very malleable, meaning they learn super super quickly. They're like little sponges, right? And it's actually kind of I don't know, a fun fact that they operate on a different brain frequency. It's actually called theta frequency, where like this is where like the brain absorbs the most information, and you can learn super quick. So obviously before 7, because you're learning the whole world essentially, you're learning like all the rules and everything that comes with it. So eating, walking, talking, everything pretty much. The thing that sucks about it is that you also learn some values, rules. You observe the environment and like your parents and or your guardians or family members, friends, other kids. And the thing is, what happens is it's almost like applying an operating system on top of your brain, right? Like it's almost like programming. Your brain comes empty, and like depending on where we take you and like drop you on a map on a globe, you'll have a different rule book, right? Because if you're born in China, that's different than being born in like United States, and being different than like being born in Poland. You get the point, right? So the thing is, when the same thing happens with like concepts like business or concepts like money. And what really, really sucks about it is that you're really absorbing and learning this sort of one way of thinking of money, which is usually scarcity. And, when it comes to then like building your business, people have usually problem like asking for money, or like asking for more than they think it's okay to ask for, right? But the thing is, what they don't realize is that even though most people may fall within a certain category, there's other categories of people. And not only that, like there's folks that are willing to like that have the ability to spend more, but also there are folks that prioritize other things differently. What do I mean by that? I'm a guy, I love cars, I love motorcycles. My wife, I have no problems spending, let's say, $6,000 on a motorcycle. My wife, that's unheard of, unthinkable, right? She would rather spend $6,000 on phenomenal vacation with family. Not that I would go on vacation with family, but you guys get the point. Like our priorities are different. Like where I am comfortable spending money, she's not maybe comfortable spending money, and then the opposite, and it's totally okay. And the same thing happens with our clients. So what this slide says, this was a long way to get into one slide, but what this slide says is, where did your rules come from? And it says your upbringing, family attitudes about money shaped what normal pricing feels like, right? And your experiences, past wins and losses, quietly set your comfort zone. So like you have this sort of like a level of like what is okay to spend and what is not okay to spend. But you have to understand it's different for different people, like I said, because of they're just capable of doing different things. Sometimes other people pay for them. They prioritize things differently because those things are more important for them than for you. So that's important to remember. And then your ceiling for some 100 feels like a max, right? Maybe 200, maybe 3, maybe 500, and for others 1,000 feels normal. And let me tell you a story. When I was in doing weddings and moving, this was probably my year 3, maybe year 4. I got a request from this bride, and she had a wedding at this like nice and fancy venue. I'm like, oh my god, this is so cool. And they came in and they booked me, right? This is example number 1. They booked me, and I did end up. I'll make the story short. I remember I did end up going to the wedding, and after getting to like the reception hall, I walked in. And I saw like just this kind of fancy setup, the tables, the band. It was like a black tux affair almost, right? And I remember looking at flowers, and the flowers were just like absolutely gorgeous, like the decorations, the lighting, at the hall. And I remember talking to this lady, and I thought she was a like a wedding coordinator organizer. So we started chatting, and I said, "Yeah, like you're probably the coordinator." She's like, "No, I'm a flower designer." I mean, I didn't even know what flower designer was at the time, but she said she's a flower designer and she's only responsible for flowers at that reception. I said, you know what? I just like out of curiosity, I'm like, holy crap! Like this is phenomenal. Like the flowers are looking phenomenal, right? And she said, oh yeah, yeah, no, we brought them. It was like an overnight thing from whatever they brought the flowers from. But I remember I'm like, just out of like, I'm just curious, like how much would something like this cost? And I can't remember exactly, but she told me the price like 24K or something, or 23K. And I just couldn't, like, I gotta tell you, I just couldn't, it just could like I I just couldn't connect on the same level. I'm like, Jesus, 20 something $1,000 on flowers. I mean, besides the point that I was like, whoa, did I undercharge for that wedding, right? But like the bride loved my work. I gave her my price. She could probably afford to pay triple what she paid me easily. And that's just data. Those are just facts. This is not, you know, that's just story number one. Story number two was I was actually a bride. Actually, she met me at another wedding. Her friend was getting married, and she came in for a consultation. And she came in. Usually, brides come with like usually a groom, sometimes friends, sometimes mom comes in, and this time she came in with her friend and her dad. I'm like, oh, that's a cool surprise. I mean, not that it doesn't happen; it just doesn't happen that often. And she basically, they sat down, and before we even started going into anything, I think I only was able to like give them water and play the slideshow, kind of like set the stage. And immediately after that, dad is like, you know what, just before we start talking, like out of curiosity, I just wanted to hear like your pricing, So I was like caught off guard because usually people like don't ask about pricing like immediately. I mean, this was a guy, he was paying for the photography at least. And I remember I said, at the time, I can't remember, it was probably my, I don't know, year five maybe. I told him like $4,800, $4,800, and he literally stopped the meeting. He wasn't rude or anything. He just stopped the meeting and he said, "Oh no, this is not going to work." I'm like, "Whoa!" I for a second I thought I said something inappropriate or whatever, and he said, "No, no, 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 no. Like my daughter deserves, more than like." He's like, "I'm not trying to offend you, or like you're probably, whatever you're doing is probably nice, but like I'm looking for really like quality service for my daughter's wedding." And he's like 4,800. It's just not going to cut it because it's not enough. I'm like, out of curiosity, what do you expect like to spend on photography? And I think he's like, I was thinking more around between like $8,000 and $12,000. Okay, so like just process that. Like my head was, here I am thinking that 4,800 is a good chunk of money, and he was looking to spend 10 grand, let's say, right? On if you average it out, right? Between 8 and 12. And I got to tell you, like the market today, I was talking to a couple of photographers, recently, when I do the interviews, and they, I think the highest price I heard so far is like a bracket between $80,000 to $100,000 per wedding. So I just wanted to like throw it out there. You may believe me, you may not believe me. You can actually check for yourself. But like, it's not surprising. I mean, those guys have like a team. There's usually 3 photographers. They have designers. They have graphic designers for the albums. They have editors. They have like, it's a team of people at that point. High end weddings, weddings that cost $2 million, or like it kind of makes sense, right? It's just different level. So are we surrounded by those people like in our surroundings? No, but I want you to understand that if you're thinking mini sessions is kind of like the only way to go to, and you know that you're going to charge 300-400 bucks maybe, like you're definitely in a zone to charge $2,000-$4,000. So so remember this, your ceiling may not be another person's ceiling. Like just take my example because you know those are facts. That's what happened. And we have to remember that like our operating system, our iOS, you know, that runs inside, may actually blocking you from seeing that. Now, why are we talking about money and the limits? So I'm saying here on the next slide is we must rewrite the rules, right? We have to upgrade our brain, and that's not to say that suddenly $1,000 seems little to you. It's just you have to allow other clients to be okay with spending $1,000, maybe $1,500, maybe $2,000, maybe three. The script isn't fixed. You can change your money story, but only after you noticed you're running an old one, right? So, and I always, you know, I work with photographers all the time. We work on like pricing and how to like approach it, how to actually sell the higher price, right? And the thing is, you just have to be okay with charging more, right? You're not asking yourself, you're not the judge. Allow others to figure out how much they want to spend. And the thing is, you know, when I work with photographers, sometimes they have this barrier of like nobody's going to buy until somebody buys. And at that point they switch. It's like, I didn't think it was possible. Like, oh my God. And so the transition will eventually happen. It's like I always say, you're not going to charge until you charge, somebody pays, and then it's like a check mark. I actually had one client, the client student recently, it was probably 3 months ago, I want to say. And it was funny because the client committed, said she's going to do it. It was like a $2,600 package on like printed materials. And then she didn't sign a contract on the spot. She got all excited, and the client called like, nah, I changed my mind and whatever. And I always preach like, get it in writing, like make sure you follow up, make sure that they get the experience. That's a different conversation. That's a conversation for another video on how to actually take your client by the hand and walk them through this process. Because at this point, it's not like you're selling files and you suddenly charge, 10x of what you normally charge, expecting them to get the same sort of treatment. It's totally different experience in terms of like, what do you say on those calls? How do you prep client? How do you get them ready? How do you assume the sale? When they come in, what do you say? What do you show? The stories you tell. So it's a totally different process. But I want you to understand, the point is that it's totally, absolutely possible. You're going to get less clients, but better quality clients, right? So, and the money still is the same if you did, if we're talking, actually, let's skip to the next slide. You'll see, because I'll visualize it with number of sessions that you have to do. So here on the bottom, what do we have here? Awareness, recognize the old rules at play. Intention, set your real income goals first. Let the goal drive your business model. So this is very important. So money. A lot of folks jump in. They're like, I'm going to do photography. I heard somebody charges $150 or $170 or seven, God forbid, $75, and they just follow that method because that's how we learn. When we look at other people, we see that they have a website, we get a website. They have a logo, we get a logo. They have business cards, we have business cards. They charge $75, we charge $75, and it's definitely not a way to go. You're actually going to hurt yourself in the process. But there's something actually to consider, which is what I'm going to talk about here. And that thing is basically your goal, your personal goal. So set a clear income goal first. It's not the same for everybody out there, right? And I'll say this, some photographers, when, out of the gate, they aim for different goals. Some photographers want to be this like known, recognized name. They want to perfect the art of photography. I wasn't in that bucket. So like those guys are usually going to go for, competitions and get accolades and like go through certifications. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Quite frankly, it's like those things are not easy to do or easy to get. I'm just saying that somebody, and most people, at least the photographers I talk to, they tend to fall in the category of like, I'm here for them. Like, I just want to make money. I want to be good at photography. I want to offer good, like a, good experience, great product. I'm not here to compete with anybody. It's just like, I want to do my thing, and that's really it. And I want to charge, decent prices. Some folks, you have to remember, some folks. So that's one type of like, those are the two categories, right? Like, are you here for the art? Or are you here for the money? I mean, don't get me wrong. If you're great at art, the money will follow. So like, if you're taking on that path, you don't have to worry about like choosing good photographer versus good at business. But like, if you follow art and you attach a little bit of business to it, like, money will follow, right? For those that are here to make money, like, I remember when I started, I just wanted to make, when I saw what photographers were charging, I basically wanted to go out there and like receive a multiple of my like IRS tax return, right? So I'm like, wow, it would be so cool to get like $2,000 or $3,000. I typically get it at the end of the year, like, this check when we tended to overpay for taxes, but like, getting that a couple times, like couple times, like every couple months, maybe once a month, like, that was absolutely mind-blowing for me. So this is kind of how it started for me. And the thing is, for some folks out of the gate, I just wanted to go, and I'm like, I'll try portraits, but I'm like, I want to go to weddings as soon as possible because these guys make a lot of money. So so that was me. A lot of folks will say, we'll look at others and just try to repeat, and they, and they, you have like, and they just do like whatever they see other people do. You have to remember, your income goal will actually have to, like, it will determine your actions and where you're going to go with your photography, where you need to actually take it. What do I mean by that? So it really depends on whether you want to make a couple $100 a week, maybe a couple $100 a month. Like, if that's your goal, sure. You can probably do 2 family sessions and charge, $350, $450 per session. And, that's a decent $700-900 a month. Like, that's pretty cool, right? Getting like $1,000 a month, $12,000 a year. Like, that's a decent goal. If it's your side money, maybe it's vacation money, maybe it's hobby, something that you want to spend on your hobby, things you like to do, maybe travel, maybe whatever it is, right? It's different when you want to make several $1,000s a month, right? So, so here I say few hundred a week. Let's go back to the slide for a second. Side income level, part-time effort, smaller client base. You don't have to worry. You just kind of do it, or you don't do it. Like, you can change your mind. You can stop at any time. You can pick it up at any time. The several $1,000s a month. This is a full-time business. It could still be side hustle, like this was the case with me. Different clients, different offers, different strategies, and it's like several $1,000s. Now it's, like, with mini sessions. Let's talk about mini sessions. If you do like mini session at $75 or $100, let's just say for easy math, like, in order to get $900 with family sessions, it's 2 sessions. With mini sessions, you have to do 9. And then you start doing the math, like, okay, so 9, I have to do 9 mini sessions. That's 4 weeks. That's 2, let's just say 2 sessions a week. I mean, it's already like kind of a lot. I mean, if it's your full-time thing, it's a different story. But like, if you're doing this on the side, it's a lot to, like, go out there, 2 sessions, edit, and make sure everything is in place. And maybe you're doing editing of like albums and whatever. So 2 per week, that gives you 8, or depending on 4 times a year, we have the 5 weeks in a month. And so the thing is, it becomes this, like, we're kind of chasing money with like little rewards, right? So if you're now thinking, hey, I want to do several $1,000s a month, then you have to look at other opportunities. What are those opportunities? So I always, when I did an intro on Facebook profile, I said, hey, you gotta pick a different genre of photography. It's not a genre necessarily of photography. You just have to know how you place yourself within an existing genre or change the genre. And what I mean by that is if you are shooting mini sessions, if you would like to make a couple $1,000 a month, you can just deliver files. It's that easy. So you have to now switch to in-person sales and do product sales, and you can get there, no problem. You can switch to family, do the same thing. You can switch to maternity, and it's not just session and files. You got to be selling art, right? So again, this is the topic for a different conversation. But that's what you got. Or you have to totally change the genre of photography. Maybe you want to make several $1,000s a month, and like you don't want to deal with people necessarily. Maybe you want to switch to product. I remember when was it, 3 years ago, we did a project with a local church, and that project, I think it was we've had those like engagements because it was recurring for like 4 weeks, maybe 4 weeks, I think. It resulted in, I think it was like 12 grand or something. So just, and it wasn't really that sophisticated or nothing crazy. So you have to like understand that you need to be pulling a different lever. A lot of people go like, okay, mini sessions. So imagine like if it's $100 for a mini session, maybe it's $200 for a mini session. I hope you're at least there. It's like in order to do 2,000 or like, or 20,000, like how many 100 sessions? Like that's just, it gets out of control very easy. So like, and I got to tell you, most of the photographers I met, they didn't want to make a couple $100 a week. They wanted to make a couple $1,000, a month, because they wanted to be at a certain level, 20,000, 30,000, 40,000. So it's very, very important to know that your goal changes everything, which clients you need, what you charge, and how you spend your time. That's post-production and, shooting and all that together. So the next slide here is the simple math, because I just wanted to run through numbers, because numbers, you always have to sort of work backwards. It's this magic trick that I never knew existed. It's so logical, and yet I didn't do it. So the math of mini sessions, the hustle trap, right? So think about it this way: $300 a week, 2-3 mini sessions, which is kind of like manageable, right? Like you can pull it off. I don't know if it's sustainable, but like, it's it's doable. $3,000 a week. Now it's 10,000. Now it's 10x the effort, and it's absolutely not sustainable. Imagine like you're shooting every day, or you're shooting 3 sessions, between Friday and Sunday or something. It's crazy. But if you wanted to go higher, let's say like $3,600,000 a year, that's like a decent income, for somebody maybe that stays home. Maybe you want to make some extra money. Maybe you want to, add to your like household income, and maybe for like dads, they want to, buy whatever vacation or something, or improve their lifestyle, right? Is it achievable with mini sessions? But it will exhaust you. So yes, 36,000. If you think about it, 36, right, by 12. So so $3,000 a week. That's $36,000. So like, and you're doing 10 sessions per week. That's absolutely insane. So this is exactly what I mean by like, and the graph shows it's what is this income goal, sessions needed per week. If you want to do $300 a week, you have 2.5 sessions. But if you want to make $3,000 a week, you have to do 25 sessions. And now you're like, holy crap, how do I do 25 sessions in a week? This is crazy. So very, very important. And when like 36K, this is just 36K, but like, what if you want to do 40? What if you want to do 60, 80, 100, past 100? Can't do it with mini sessions. And you can do it with mini sessions, but you got to change your strategy in what you're selling, how you're presenting, how you're packaging everything. And that's exactly why, like, when folks come and are asking us questions, like, I'm good with photography, like I don't know, but like I'm doing something wrong because, and they usually like nobody buying. It's all this mindset thing. So that's exactly what happens. And Doubling sessions is unrealistic. So like we can double, we can go from 2 to 4, from 4 to 8, but like we can easily go from 200 to 400 sessions, right? So doubling sessions is unrealistic. You can't book twice. You can't book twice the weekends to reach 64,000. Yeah, exactly. If you want to go to 64 from 36, we just said it. Whatever the number of sessions it was, right? It's just not something that's feasible, possible, right? Physically. Hustle has a ceiling. The time is finite, and low prices mean you always need more clients. And this is, I gotta tell you, I know where it comes from, because for me it was the same thing. It's like we think in a very sort of linear fashion, where it's like, okay, so if I make $100, if I work double, it's $200, right? And then if I work 3 times as much, it's 300. But it's like, that's not how you scale. This is not how you grow exponentially. So the math doesn't lie. Low price sessions simply can't scale to real income goals. And this is just 3664. Like imagine going from 64 to 128. Like he can't even dream of it doing mini sessions. So here, I just wanted to mention, like, for if you are doing the mini sessions, maybe you're doing seniors, maybe you're doing families, maybe you're doing portraits, whatever you're doing. I actually have an interview coming up with Tracy, I think it is. If you're gonna see the interview on a channel, she's a pet photographer, and she takes photos of 3 things: cats, dogs, and chickens. And I was talking to Tracy. We had a quick exchange. She's coming up to actually talk about it, but like, she takes portraits and does not deliver files. She sells files, right? Limited number of files. Everything is a la carte, but she says portraits, and she's actually, she sells regular printed canvases, big portraits, but also like fancy painted portraits in Photoshop. She like improves them, and it almost looks like a painting. And it could be a painting of your cat, of your dog, of your chicken, and those go for $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. Mind blowing. So you don't have to be in wedding business to make a lot of money. You can still, you need to know how to place yourself and sell yourself to the clients, because there's a lot of folks out there that are willing to pay the price tag. So here I'm using an example: shift to high value offers. Again, it's not about like, you're same photographer, same skills, maybe same camera, same software, and like one photographer will do the mini sessions, sell the files, and get a little bit. Another one will do the same thing, same camera, same software, same session, same time, and they will in the end, focus on the product. So like, that's one way to do it. You have to, tangible products. When you're selling something like a wall piece, maybe you're selling an album, maybe you're selling coffee book, maybe you're selling 3 combined, right? So that's the name of the game. Tangible products, wall art, albums, heirloom prints, products that justify $2,000 or $3,000 per client, and folks are out there willing to pay. Think about it: something that hangs on a wall, like whatever nonsense painting, right? That you can get from a furniture store. It's at least $400, right? $450, and it's meaningless. It's just like a piece of art that's just fabricated, whatever, and nobody cares. Like, this is something personal. Like, imagine taking photos of your kids, or like maybe when they're seniors or little ones, or maybe the maternity, maybe when you're pregnant. Like, imagine hanging that thing on a wall. The other day I was sitting in the kitchen, and my daughters actually passed their black belt exam, and I had their photos, their canvases on a wall with yellow belts, and I figured, oh, how cool would it be to like take down the canvases and like put their actual uniforms with black belts, like, as as a statement, that like an achievement, right? I touched the canvas, and my daughter's like, Dad, don't. Like, we love looking at our portraits here. I mean, think about it. Like, imagine if you're a mom or dad, imagine your kids as a mom, like Mother's Day gift or Father's Day gift, took you for like a session with a photographer, right? And did like bought you a canvas, and they were hanging it on a wall. Like, it's, maybe you will think it's kind of weird to look at my own picture on a wall, but like, imagine how important that is to them. And it's the same with kids. Like, when you're selling this to a parent, they have to understand it. There's a certain way you do it. There's certain things you have to say, but that's exactly how it works. Like, this is how big of a deal it is to a kid. Like, how There's no other better way to tell kids that you care about them than by hanging a huge thing on a wall with their portrait, their smile. You walk by the thing every day, right? So very, very, very important, and that's why people are paying price tags like this, because it's almost like a furniture piece. You know, you wouldn't have a problem paying for sofa or loaf, you know, whatever it is, table or something like $1,000 or $2,000, because it's just like a piece of furniture. It's going to hang on a wall for years to come, right? Probably even, I mean, you're able to like pass it down to like next generations. So it's very important. And the other high value thing is, if it's not portraits art, it's like higher value events, which in this case is weddings. Weddings are premium portrait packages. $5,000, $6,000, not a problem. People come, they pay for a package, for bundles, for albums, for canvases, and that's exactly how it works. And you know, scaling. Let's say you have a $5,000 wedding, like you only have to do 12 weddings to get to 60K, right? Totally doable. Like it's 6 months, like every Saturday for 6 months, and you have 60K. If you want to double it up linear, like in the linear fashion, sure, do one every weekend, right? Like depending on where you are, sometimes you have like 2 on a weekend, sometimes you have a Friday and a Saturday, sometimes it's a Saturday and a Sunday. Like you can bring in, you know, 10K over the weekend just because you're shooting. Imagine now compare that to like how many mini sessions you would have to do, right, for the 5K. So stop selling sessions and digital files, start selling experiences and lasting products. And real world math, it works. It says 10 weddings a year at $6,000. It's 60K annual revenue from 10 weekends. Simple. Work smarter, not more. 10 weddings, 10 wedding weekends a year. Not every weekend hustling mini sessions, mixing senior portraits or product sales to diversify and grow beyond 60K to 80K to 90 to 100 to 120. You can definitely do it. It takes time though. It's not going to happen immediately right out of the gate. If you're going to buy your camera and go shooting, nobody's going to pay you $6,000. But with time, with experience, with enough guidance, you can definitely do it. Like you have to just understand what the process is, what you have to do, what you have to say, and it definitely works. Will you book less clients? Will you hear more no's? Absolutely. Because it's just less folks out there that are willing to pay this. When it comes to art and portraits, let's say for seniors or maternity or newborns, weddings, no problem. There's weddings all the time. If you're paying $3,000 for wedding photos, I don't care where you are. Like it's cheap. Like maybe you don't know what the prices are for weddings, but it is like super affordable. Like $2,000 for a wedding. Like that's like a year, like a year total newbie, right? With $2,000. So again, it's all about mindset. It's all about understanding where the market is with different events, where the value is, how to ask for it, and fewer clients, bigger impact, more life, more happiness. So that's how it works. The pain of change. At the beginning, I always hear because people are used to just shooting mini sessions left and right, and suddenly they have to ask enough people, and it's like, remember, it's a number game. You just have to ask more people, and because everybody lives in a little ecosystem of like people that they know, it's like there's not enough people in my world. Go online. That's what social media is for. It's not there for you to browse and consume all the time. It's there for you to take advantage of because you're basically out there talking to a lot of people, right? All at one time. So it's pretty cool because you go out there, you leave a piece of content, you leave a reel, you leave a photo. Maybe you have a testimonial you can share, and a lot of people, they get to see it because Facebook is in the business of promoting and keeping people busy. So the pain of change at the beginning, short-term pain. It is painful to switch. Of course, yeah, it's different, right? You have to understand. You have to fail the first one, and maybe the second one, and maybe the fourth one, and like the fifth one, like you're gonna get a yes. Like, oh, interesting. And then the sixth one, you're gonna fail, and like seventh one, like yes again. Like, holy crap. And then after 7, like 8th one is a yes, 9th one maybe is a no, and like the 10th, 11th, 12th yeses, right? And then you're in business. So short-term pain. Switching models is uncomfortable, but it's just temporary. Permanent pain, staying stuck with mini sessions means struggling forever. So like, I mean, be my guest. You know, do what you got to do with the mini sessions. I understand we got to make money, we got bills to pay, but you have to understand the the payoff. And like a lot of people, when I have photographers, when they reach out, they're like, oh, I need help. What can we do? How much does it cost? And they're like, oh, I don't know. I don't know, because they do mini sessions, so they obviously there's not a lot of money laying around. I don't know if I want to spend that much money. I'm like, it costs you $70K at least a year, not knowing how to do it. So it's like, hey, you go and pick. I mean, like I said, short-term pain, permanent pain, it's up to you. Be my guest. The discomfort of change phase, the cost of staying stuck, never does. And I just said your next move is set a goal, define your real income target. So like kind of figure out where you want to be realistic. If you're just starting, like set a goal, just say, like, it's nice to go just like, I want to make $1,000, right? Get there first. Then it's like, I want to make 10. And then you get to 10 and then set like 20. So like you can almost double it, and then 40. And then remember that you have to adjust on the way, because if you're simply going to do it with something that brings not a lot of value and you're not charging enough, you're eventually going to run out of steam and you'll probably give up. So that's what happens all the time, because people never switch. They don't understand the frameworks. And that's why I do what I do when I come here and just share this information with you guys. Choose offers, pick high value offers that fit. Short-term sacrifice, endure brief pain for freedom later. The invisible rulebook was written for you. It's time to write your own. I don't know if it sounded motivational, but you get the point. And this was really it. I just wanted to remind you guys. So yes, you can scan the QR code. You can reach out to me with questions, and I'm always there to help. The other thing is comments. Like if you're watching this maybe at a later date, or leave comments, because this is the only sort of compass for me to like, where are we going? What do I need to talk about? I'm here to help. And it's always better when I know, what you're curious about, because I can kind of curate my content, to your needs. So that is it for today. I hope this was helpful. Again, reach out if we need to talk. And next time, do I have a topic? I don't think I have one. So thank you guys. I know you're paying with your time and your attention. I really appreciate it for spending the time. Thanks again, and I'll see you Thursday. I don't know what time. I said normally it's 12. I'm going to probably try again for the afternoon, see if that works better. But until then, thank you again, and see you later. Bye.